Again, welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you here. And before we get into kind of everything, I definitely want to give you an overview of what our time together will be like today. So I'll start off in a little bit by introducing myself, giving you more information about BC and about what the goal of this webinar is. And then I'll have our panelists that you see with me here introduce themselves. And then that'll take us right to the main portion of the webinar, which is the Q&A portion. So I do want to direct your attention now to the Q&A function. You should see it like on the toolbar on the bottom, and you can feel free to submit any questions you have throughout the entire webinar. And then we'll try to answer as many, if not all, questions during the webinar. The session will also be recorded, and the recording will be on our website. So if you have to step away for a second, don't worry about it. You'll definitely be able to come back to it and be able to rewatch it, or goes directly to any of the questions that maybe you submitted and those answers as well. So now I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Jen Lozano. I am currently a junior. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida. I am studying applied psychology and human development in the Lynch School of Education and Human Development. And then I have a double major in political science in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. And I am currently the AHANA coordinator in the Student Admissions Program. So the Student Admissions Program, we're the group of students that runs these webinars, panels, tours, things like that. And so in my role, I'm focused on kind of working with prospective AHANA students, which I will also explain what that is in a second, and just trying to focus on initiatives for diversity, equity, and inclusion here at BC. So we'll definitely have more programming, and I'll point to those towards the end of our time together. So I've been throwing out the word AHANA a little bit, but some of you may not know what that means. So AHANA is an all-encompassing term that we use at BC for students that identify as African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American plus. So use that term. It actually got coined here by a student, which is really cool. And so we have a bunch of initiatives focus on that, not just within the student admissions program, but within other offices around campus as well. So this webinar is the AHANA Student Experience in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. And like I said, I did want to give you a little bit more information about BC in general and about MCAS, which is the acronym that we use for the College of Arts and Sciences. So to go into that, Boston College is a Jesuit Catholic university located in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. That's just 6 miles right outside of downtown Boston. We're the first western suburb. We have about 9,400 undergraduate students here and about 5,000 graduate students. Students are spread across 4 main academic divisions. So the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, the Carroll School of Management, the Cannell School of Learning, and the Lynch School, the Cannell School of Nursing, and the Lynch School of Education. And so those are the main ones, but because we're focusing a little bit more on MCAS, I just want to give you more information. So MCAS houses about 2/3 of students here. We have over 30 majors and 19 interdisciplinary minors. And obviously MCAS houses your humanities, your sciences, your maths, kind of all of those, arts, things like that. So it's very expansive. And we have 3 of our panelists here that are kind of spread out and do their own thing within MCAS. So before we get into the questions and everything, I do just want to have them introduce themselves, and then I'll ask each of you a question. So Julia, if you want to get us started.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Bowers, and I'm a sophomore in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, majoring in sociology and double minoring in medical humanities, health, and culture, as well as management and leadership in our Carroll School of Management. And I'm on the pre-law track here at BC, and I'm originally from Dallas in the great state of Texas.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. So Julia, will you tell us a little bit more about kind of what the size of BC means to you, and maybe if you're a fan of it, if you wish it was bigger, smaller, kind of that thing?
Yeah, so I really do think BC is the perfect size. It's a medium-sized institution, about 9,400 undergrads. And what that really means to me is that when you're walking around campus, you're going to be able to say hello to a bunch of people, but you're also going to meet a ton of new people. You're never going to know everyone. And then in your classes, it's usually a tight-knit discussion type community. Our average class size is 27, median is 19. So most of my classes have about 20 students. And so with that discussion-based type atmosphere, you're really able to engage with your classmates, learn about their perspectives, where they're coming from, and it really challenges you. And then another great thing is, even though we are a medium-sized institution, we have D1 sports, which is something that I really love and enjoy. Last night we had our parents' weekend game. We played Mizzou, and that was really fun. But I really do think it's the perfect size. You don't get drowned out by other people, but you still get to contribute and go with that back and forth.
Absolutely. Thank you. Also, Matt, go ahead, and then I'll ask you a different question.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. My name is Matthew He. I'm currently a senior in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, studying economics, and I'm minoring in finance in our Carroll School of Management. Currently from Long Island, New York, and I'm open to whatever question Jen has for me.
Perfect. So we had Julia talk a little bit about the size. You mind talking a little bit about the location? Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts is not something I knew about before. So what are your thoughts on location in general?
Absolutely, Jen, that's a great question. I didn't know too much about Chestnut Hill myself when I was applying to Boston College, but I think it could be one of the most prime locations here in Boston. Like you said, it's not terribly far from the city of Boston, so it's literally we have a T stop right next to our school. We have the B line, and that takes you straight to wherever you want to go in Boston. So we love that here, and the location is prime because if you want to go out to eat with your friends or go to see a game at Fenway Park, everything's literally a T stop away, and that's what I love about our location here in Chestnut Hill. It's just so close to Boston.
For sure. Yes. No, it's so easy. I know Michaela went to a Red Sox game the other night as well. But Michaela, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, and the Yankees won. I'm originally from Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. My name is Michaela Sanchez. Yankees won. My friend visited and he was scared to wear his Yankee jersey, but it was all good. Yankees won both days. But I am a junior in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, double majoring in sociology and history. And I just picked up a minor in managing for social impact and the public good. And that is in the Carroll School of Management. We have about like 6 different minors that if you're not in the Carroll School of Management, you can still pursue. So that was an awesome opportunity that I wanted to take advantage of. And like I said before, I am from Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. So that's like Central Jersey-ish, if you think that exists.
Awesome. So we talked a little bit about location, size. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Jesuit Catholic identity that we have here at Boston College?
Definitely. I think it's very much ingrained into who we are as people at BC, but also into our classes and our reflection-based discussions. I went on a retreat called 48 Hours my freshman year, and I remember telling people that go to different schools, like originally from my hometown, they go to different schools in the tri-state area, and they're like, you're going on a retreat? Like, you're not going to a football game? You're taking a weekend off? Like, what is that all about? And I ended up going on it because that was something that our orientation leaders promoted in the summer after our 3-day orientation, which was right before freshman year. And I decided to go on it end of November of my freshman year. And it's a time, 40 hours specifically, that you get to go to Cape Cod, stay in a nice hotel, have some nice food. We had churros, which was awesome. And we really got to take a step back and think about the transition period that we were in. And it's not something that I felt like I needed at that point necessarily. But when I got there, I realized how much I did need to debrief and listen to upperclassmen who had gone through similar experiences. Things might have been going well in my social life, and maybe I wasn't transitioning how I would have liked to in my classes. So they provided a lot of advice for us. And I think that was something that taught me it was okay to like not be okay with certain things. And I think that's super ingrained in our classes, having discussions with people. I went to dinner with people from a club that I was in last year, and we were talking about like our aspirations in the future, what we feel like we're inclined to do with ourselves. And I think those are questions that BC has taught me to ask myself. And I think it just demonstrates how we're not just a school about like coming out and getting a degree, but being formed as a whole person. And that's part of our main Jesuit ideals, being men and women for others, giving back to the community, and just like coming out as a better, well-rounded person than you came in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So now that you all know our lovely panelists, we want to get into the questions. So again, directing your attention back to the Q&A function. I'm already seeing some questions in there, but I'll start off. So we're discussing your experience as an AHANA student in the College of Arts and Sciences. So let's start maybe a little bit with academics. So how easy or challenging have you found the workload to be, maybe thinking back to freshman year and looking at where you are now?
I can start since, I guess I have the full perspective now that I'm a senior. I think coming in as a freshman, I think there was a lot to manage at the time because obviously you're coming in, you're not really familiar with what class you're taking yet. You're still getting like situated with the environment just of college in general. But I think freshman year I was able to manage that pretty well. Workload wasn't that tough. I had a few freshman seminar classes. I think I took first year writing seminar, a literature class, and I took my theology class then. So I think freshman year was pretty well. But then come sophomore and junior year, that's when things really started to crank up. That's when you had to like start worrying about, whatever jobs you're looking for, internships. So that took a bulk of my time and space. But now as a senior, I'm starting to realize that I think all the work that I've done throughout the years has pretty much paid off. Now I have the opportunity as a senior to take even more seminar classes, like Michaela was talking about, to like enhance your Jesuit values. I'm taking a capstone class now as a senior, and I think it's super rewarding experience, honestly. So the workload, I think it's pretty manageable if you put in time effort in.
Yeah, I can kind of talk about the academic transition from high school to college for me. So I will say that BC is not easy by any means, but it is so much more than worth it. Everyone here wants you to succeed. So your professors, your classmates, you're all helping each other study for a test. If you miss a day, they're helping you with your notes. And I would say go to office hours. Your professors want to help you. They want you to do well in their classes. They also want to get to know you as a person, what you're passionate about, what you do. And I think that here at BC, something that I really loved was that it caused me to fall in love with learning all over again. I wasn't just going in and regurgitating information, but I was learning, how does this apply to my life? How does this apply to life after BC? And that's something that I definitely wasn't used to, but I think it's what makes our classes so interesting, so engaging. So I've loved my academic experience here. It definitely has pushed and challenged me. But when I look back at how much I've learned in a year here at Boston College, it absolutely blows my mind. And I'm so proud of what I accomplished.
So we talked about the workload, but how did you land on your majors? I think everyone has a double major or at least a minor here. Likewise, how did you get there? Is that something that you knew you wanted to do? Is it something that kind of just fell into place? I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I can start off with this one. So I know, like Jen mentioned, a lot of us have majors and minors, and I think one third of students at BC end up double majoring. So that's definitely a huge opportunity to take advantage of. I came into BC thinking I was going to be pre-law, which I am right now, sort of kind of, and I thought I was going to be a political science major. I took a class my freshman year, first semester, didn't love it, but I did take a class called Introduction to Latin American Societies, and that was a class that my advisor in the summer during orientation recommended I take because it was taught by a Jesuit professor, Gustavo Morello from Argentina. He's awesome. I ended up taking his class. I loved it so much, but I was a little nervous as a freshman to go into office hours. So after class, I just said to him, like, are you teaching any other classes? Like, is there anything I can get involved in with you in your studies? Because I was just so amazed with him and the class that I was taking. So I was thinking, what did I love so much about this experience? Obviously, the classroom I was in, Gaston 305, is one of our most beautiful classrooms. If you wanted to look it up, like the ceiling is just so beautiful. But I took my class in that classroom, and he ended up reaching out to me saying that he was conducting research in the sociology department and asked if I wanted to get on board with that. So I conducted research about tattoos and their meanings for about like a year and a half. And our paper actually just got published in the journal article Religions over the summer, which is super cool. But from that experience, I realized that I was super interested in sociology. So I continued to pursue that from there. And I also picked up a history major after having one of those freshman year seminars that Matthew mentioned in the history department. It was a 1-credit class. We met in a super small group during the first semester of my freshman year, and it introduced me to history. And I just thought the combination of both of them were awesome. So I think by taking classes towards the core curriculum, which Introduction to Latin American Societies fulfilled my cultural diversity requirement. So by opening your horizons, being required to take these classes in different fields really helped push me towards the direction that I needed to go in and wanted to go in, because I didn't even take any sociology classes prior to coming to BC. So the core helped me out with that.
So Michaela, you mentioned the core curriculum. Can someone else maybe talk a little bit about what the core curriculum is and what your experience has been like with it?
I can take that. So the core is a set of 15 classes that every student at BC must take regardless of their academic division or major to graduate. So there are a lot of them if you're curious about it. So there are like 2 social science, 2 natural science, 2 philosophy, 2 theology, literature, writing, cultural diversity, mathematics, fine arts. It sounds very extensive. And when I got into BC, was not thrilled about the core. I said, I know exactly what I want to do. Why am I taking all of these irrelevant classes? But turns out I didn't know what I wanted to do because I came into BC a biology major. So I am on a very different track today because of a very similar experience to Michaela. I took a sociology class and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I'm a firm believer that the core teaches you more about yourself than it does about those individual academic divisions. You're really pushed outside of your comfort zone and forced to think about things that you may have never encountered before. And I've loved every single one of my core classes. I think that they're generally smaller, so you really get to know your classmates, your professors, and people are coming from so many different backgrounds, majors, so you get a lot of different perspectives, and I think that it really pushes you. So I've loved the core, something I was not excited about coming in, but something I've definitely come to appreciate about Boston College.
For sure, thank you. We can 100% go back to academics if people have more specific questions on that, but I do want to shift a little bit to questions about like residential life at BC and how that is especially for freshman year. So can someone do maybe a little breakdown of where you live freshman year, how that situation works, where you live freshman year?
I can take that. Freshman year, I lived, okay, so to break it down for freshmen, usually live on there's like 2 different campuses for freshmen. There's like the Newton campus, which you would take the bus, and then that would transfer you to like the main campus. And there's upper campus, which is like maybe a 5-minute walk from main campus. I was personally one of the, I guess, lucky ones, I guess people would say, because you wouldn't have to take the bus. I lived on the upper campus my freshman year in Xavier Hall, which is part of the CLXF. And I guess freshman year, like I lived in the fourth triple my freshman year. So what that looks like, it's basically a double, but they have like a bunk bed for 2 people, and then they have like a loft for another person. So that to me was pretty challenging. I would say just, I guess there wasn't a lot of space for all 3 of us. And then it was just like hassle at times, just like us being in the room at the same time. I didn't think it was a super comfortable place, but here we are, senior now. I think we got over that. It wasn't that bad, honestly. But yes, so yeah, freshman year, that's what the housing situation kind of looks like. You got Newton and upper campus.
Yeah, and it's 60% of students will live on upper campus, the other 40% live on Newton campus. So I'd say I was a lucky one because I lived on Newton campus and I absolutely loved it. But that's just kind of the thing. I know people will always say that they loved upper campus when they lived there. Same thing about Newton campus. And again, housing just kind of goes up from there. So maybe if Michaela or Julia, you want to explain like what the situation is with the next 3 years of housing after freshman year?
Sure. So if and when you get accepted to Boston College, you get in your acceptance letter and it tells you if you have 3 or 4 years of housing. And for 4 years of housing, that's reserved for students who are D1 athletes on scholarship, nursing students who have to get to their clinicals that they start sophomore year, go to senior year of college, and also for students with disabilities and a top percentage of the class, which is designated by the admissions counselors when they see the big pool of everyone coming into BC. So sometimes people get nervous when they see 3 years. They're like, BC's kicking me off. Like, what's up with this? But that is definitely not the case. There's a huge off-campus community that a lot of people tend to live in their junior year. A lot of people live in houses. I'm living in one right now in an upstairs unit with some of my closest friends at BC. And a lot of people even tend to live off campus, even if you do have 4 years of housing. I had 4 years of housing. I'm going abroad in the spring, so I'm going to be subletting my spot in the spring to someone else, but I chose to live off campus because a lot of my friends are doing it. But there's also plenty of on-campus living options if you wanted to live here junior year, if you had 4 years of housing. And it's really, really cool because 95% of our seniors actually return to campus their senior year. And I remember giving tours my freshman year, and I had moms look at me and they're like, you come back to campus? You want to come back like in a dorm? Like, why would you want to do that? And I think that just shows how special BC is because everyone wants to be there and live there like their senior year. It's the last time that we're all going to be able to be together in this close central area that is BC, living in the mods, which is like, you can look them up. They're these cute little like red trailers that were originated in the 1960s. They were supposed to be temporary housing, but everyone loves them so much, especially on game days, that is where you want to live senior year. So as you get older, like Matthew was saying, you kind of get bigger rooms, you're living in more suite style living. You can live off campus in houses or different apartment complexes. But yeah, you definitely see it go from traditional style housing, which is like doubles, singles, quads, to more having your own bathroom, which you have to clean. That's kind of the downside. You have to clean it yourself when you're a sophomore if you have a suite, and moving on. But yeah, definitely the living options definitely get better as you get to be more the seniority, definitely.
Exactly, yes. And then in terms of freshman year, going back to that a little bit, it is a lottery, so you don't necessarily get to choose whether you're going to live on Upper Newton campus. There are some exceptions. There are living and learning communities, which are more specific ones that you can get more information on if you just type residential life Boston College. But now shifting a little bit more back into another topic, we're going to look at extracurriculars. So obviously there's a bunch of clubs and organizations, but how did you join the ones that you're in now? And maybe if you want to talk about your favorite one, something like that.
I can start. So we have a very involved campus here at BC. We don't have Greek life, so clubs and organizations are a huge way that people get involved, get social. We have over 300 of them, so a ton to choose from. But I would say they fall in three main categories. So it's going to be service, because between 80 and 90% of students here at BC do choose to do service, pre-professional, and fun. So I can tell you a little bit about one of my fun organizations I'm a part of, and that's our Residence Housing Association on Sophomore Leadership Council. So basically, we plan events for the sophomore class. Right now, we're in the process of doing tie-dyed bucket hats for the marathon coming up. We're having a makeup marathon October 11th. So that's been really fun, just getting to know people. I think RHA has a huge emphasis on learning your community, how you can be a good community member. And so that's definitely been one of my favorite involvements, especially this year, being able to meet in person. That's been really great. But there's so many opportunities to get involved. I'm sure Michaela and Matthew have examples also.
Sure, I can go next. So one of the clubs that I'm involved in is called Campus Activities Board. We also call it CAB for short. Basically, what we do as an organization is we plan events just for the Boston College student body. I'm on the group within CAB called Trips and Excursions. So what I do is I plan trips off campus for Boston College students to enjoy. I think one of our most recent trips was to a game at Fenway Park against the Mets. I personally didn't plan that event, but I know that people who love planning those events absolutely love it, and the students love going to those events. From my experience, I know that the tickets that we sell out, we sell through the Robshan website, which is our ticket office. They almost sell out immediately for some of our events. So definitely the best way to get meet people and get involved is to join the clubs, and CAB, RHA, two of the biggest clubs on campus. So definitely get involved if you come to Boston College.
Yes, CAB is definitely a big one. My freshman year roommate was in it. I was jealous of her because it seemed so cool. But I had my hands full with some other different activities, such as the student admissions program, which we are all volunteering with right now. But I also got involved with the Organization of Latin American Affairs, which we call OLA. We have a lot of acronyms, so that's one of them. I got involved in OLA after my roommate, who I met at 48 Hours, told me to get involved because she was born in Brazil and I am of Dominican Colombian descent. So I was like, okay, this is be a nice way to embrace my culture a little bit. So I decided to join, and it's been so much fun. I actually have a meeting after this, but it's been such a great experience having a small family away from home here on campus. I think part of the fun category that Julia was talking about would be culture clubs, and that is a huge presence on campus. There's different events that all the culture clubs participate in, like Showdown. That's a huge one. If you want to look up videos after this, it's a huge celebration in Conti Forum, which is where our basketball and hockey teams play, and it's just a bunch of culture clubs there's culture dance clubs that we have on campus that they all perform, and it's a beautiful experience. So I've heard, because I've missed it now freshman and sophomore year due to COVID, but hoping to see it next year when I'm back from being abroad. But in addition to that, I help plan panels. I'm the director of social and political action this year. So I'm working on a panel about the Cuban crisis that's going on right now. And last year I was the director of external affairs. So that had a lot to do with alumni networking and bringing Latinx professionals back to campus. Well, virtually, we did it last year, but it's a great time to celebrate our culture, eat a lot of great food, but also get to know more people. What I like about BC and having clubs is that you can have a lot of different niche groups that satisfy like different interests that you have, and you can have them interlap if you want, but also you can spend one day saying, I'm going out with my Ola friends, or I'm going out with my CAD friends. And I think that's super cool because you can meet a lot of different people, and it feels like a smaller campus in that way, and more intimate and more like a family when you know so many people are on campus.
Yeah, and Michaela, that's a great segue into some people have asked similar questions in the way of what the community at BC is like. And feel free to take that in terms of like a classroom or outside of a classroom. I'd love to hear, is it like competitive? Obviously, like BC is a great institution, but what does that look like for you?
I can start. Something that shocked me about Boston College was I came in thinking it was going to be super competitive, cutthroat. Everyone was going to be trying to climb on top of each other to get to the top. And that is definitely not what you're going to find here. I always say that students here at BC succeed because of each other and not in spite of each other. And I think that that comes a lot from those Jesuit values. We have a value that's called cura personalis, and that means care and education of the whole person. Here, they don't want to just make good students. They want us to be good people. And that really involves respecting one another, supporting one another, whether that's in the classroom or outside with our talents, things like that. So that's definitely something I've enjoyed and something that I think is really important when you're considering very rigorous academic institutions, what kind of environment that you're walking into. And I can confidently say that BC has been the healthiest academic environment that I've been in, and I'm so appreciative of that.
And kind of going off of that, can someone talk about what resources kind of help build that sort of environment, whether maybe someone wants to talk about any mental health resources or any offices around campus, things like that?
Sure, I can take that question. Definitely, our Boston College is one of the most supportive campus that I've been around. Obviously, 4 years now. I think they do a lot to promote obviously student health. So we have a mental health um, group on campus where if there's any situation that you want to talk to, maybe someone and confidential, you can definitely go to them. And I think most of them are run by students, if I'm being honest. So if there's anything if you want to talk about, a roommate situation or something like that, definitely reach out to them. I guess on a similar note, as a freshman, you'll be having resident assistants, and I think they are also a great support system to have, especially for your freshman year, just because they've been through the ropes of what you guys will be going through as freshmen. So they're super supportive, understanding of the challenges of being a freshman and challenges of classes and whatever help you need with like clubs, extracurriculars, or of that nature, roommate situations. I think RAs are a great support system as well.
Awesome. And then maybe focusing a little bit more, are there any resources or offices on campus specifically for AHANA students to support our AHANA community?
Yes, I can take this one. So another acronym. So the BAIC is the Thea Bowman AHANA and Intercultural Center. That is a center right on campus, and that helps foster the AHANA community. So like Jen mentioned before, that's students who identify with African, Hispanic, Native American, or Asian descent. And that is an office where a lot of people, after COVID, a lot of people are congregating now, either with masks or without, and they're sitting around there. You have like a lot of celebrations for Hispanic Heritage Month. I know there's always like kind of a little celebration where they order a lot of food, a lot of ethnic food. So maludos, tostones, if you're Hispanic, that food is really nice, especially having it on campus right for you. They order that, you don't have to pay for it, anything. And that really fosters like a sense of community. Their doors are always open. Their windows, there's like glass. So when you walk through it to go through Maloney, one of our halls on campus, and you like walk through it, you can see everyone sitting around. There's definitely advisors in that center as well. You'll be assigned an advisor that has to do with your major when you declare at the end of your sophomore year, or even before then, you'll be assigned to a major specific advisor. Your freshman year, it most likely be random, but it might be tied to a class depending on if you have any topic seminars that I discussed, like the history one I took. But outside of that, you can also seek help in like the career center if you want to learn more about like career opportunities and advising in that way. But the AHANA and Intercultural Center also has their own set of advisors that you can really relate on if you are a student of color on campus and you want to identify with someone else that also may have a similar experience to your own identity. That's definitely a good place to go to have just more support. And I think BC has so many different offices that offer that, and that the AHANA Intercultural Center is what that is for AHANA Plus students.
I also do want to mention the Learning to Learn office, which is an office that's focused to support students, first generation students, but also students coming from low income backgrounds as well. So they have retreats, a lot of like mentorship programming, things like that. And again, it's another space for students to hang out, build that community and meet other people. And then on top of that, there's also the Montserrat office. So Montserrat offers extra financial assistance for students with the highest levels of financial need. So I'm able to get free textbooks through them. I've been able to get like free tickets. I had a free ticket to Showdown freshman year right before everything got shut down, obviously. So that was also really nice. And they also support students in paying kind of retreat fees or things like that. That's not something that you apply into. Same thing with Learning to Learn, and with like the BAIC, it's just something that you have like access to based off like your individual situation. I guess talking specifically about the AHANA experience, have any of you found any AHANA alums or mentors or someone to have conversations about what it means to be an AHANA student at BC?
I can take this one. So as I said, I'm a member of the Organization of Latin American Affairs. So I helped run this event called La Visión last year in the spring. And basically we got a bunch of alum to come in and speak with us on Zoom based on different career interests. So we had like a media panel, business panel, a STEM panel, politics and law panel. So one of the alum came on and she was so impressive. She was Dominican. Her name is Arivi Vargas, and she is like so amazing. So I emailed her right after just saying like, hi, I love what you had to say. I would love to like schedule a call with you if you can. I would love to just like pick your brain. She went to law school. That's something I'm interested in. So I just wanted to talk to her after inviting her to the panel. So I ended up speaking with her. She was awesome, so radiant, had such great things to say about BC. She was a double Eagle, which meant she went to BC as an undergraduate student and also a law school graduate. And so we talked a lot, and she asked if I wanted to help her with her podcast that she had. So she has like a full-time job at Vertex, but she also is like a career consultant and a practicing attorney. She's doing so much. She's like a diva, like she's awesome. And basically her podcast is called the Humble Rising Podcast, and it is really set to empower women of color, specifically Latinx and Black women. So what I do, that became some sort of like an internship for me. I work with her closely. I listen to her podcast. I write down some key takeaways, and then she takes that to her podcast and she records her recording. So I think that's something really, really special for me to see someone that was in my position, maybe like looks like me, sounds like me, comes from a similar lineage as me, seeing how much she's succeeding and how much she still wants to reach out to BC students. She was asking me to reach out to people here on campus to see if anyone else would want to help out with her podcast. And I think that's super special, that alumni connection, especially the alumni connection between students of color and graduates of color.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm going to shift a little bit. We've gotten a lot of questions about some about research, but also about study abroad in general. Can someone break down study abroad for me?
Yeah, I can help break it down. I personally didn't study abroad just because of COVID, and I know a lot of my roommates that wanted to study abroad couldn't either because of that. But yeah, study abroad is basically where students have the option to go study abroad elsewhere in the world. Typically their junior year, either the fall or spring semester. That could be anywhere. I know some of my friends are like I have one friend now who's currently in Greece, and then I have friends who applied to like places in Barcelona, like Germany, all around the world. Typically in Europe, but we have programs, I believe some in Central America, some in Asia. I think Hong Kong is one of them. So our study abroad program is usually, just an opportunity for students just to really explore the world and trying to, go to other places and trying to fulfill, their requirements. I think as for, requirements, I think there's like a process you got to go through BC to try and figure out what classes are eligible that can transfer over here. And so, yeah, study abroad is a really cool experience. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to experience that, but from people I've spoke to, it's a great time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, a little over 50% of students will go study abroad. Like Matthew mentioned, either their fall or spring semester. Some students decide to go in the summer for a couple of weeks as well. I also decided not to apply to go abroad, but a bunch of my friends, like Matthew was saying, are currently abroad. I know Michaela's going abroad next semester, which is super exciting. Obviously, COVID did impact study abroad options for juniors last year. It obviously also impacted research opportunity and internships and things like that. But I'd love to know, like, what resources does BC have to help out with that, to kind of like navigate, how do I do research? How do I find opportunities for that? Internships, things like that.
I can talk about research. So getting involved with research is pretty simple here. We are a tier 1 research institution, and that's only awarded to about 3% of colleges and universities in the country. So kind of a big deal. But what that means is that all of our professors are required to be doing research at all times. And since 100% of our classes are taught by professors, you're constantly in contact with people who are doing the highest level of research here in America. So it can be as simple as talking to a professor in their office hours, maybe doing some research on what they're involved with. If that's interesting to you, going to them and saying, hey, I'm interested in what you're studying. Do you have a position on your team? A lot of times if they do, you'll be doing research with them. If not, they'll refer you to the department head or one of their colleagues who may be doing something kind of similar, and you can get involved that way. About a third of students here choose to do research, and that's definitely something that's encouraged. So if that's something that you're interested in, whether you're in the hard sciences, fine arts, the social sciences, there are opportunities for you in whatever you're studying.
Then we do have the Career Center, which is super, super helpful when you're looking into internships or job opportunities as well. You can meet with them virtually, you can meet with them in person. So that was also really nice to have different programs that they were running when we were home, or even over the summer and things like that. Thank you so much. All right, and I would love to go back and answer some more of these questions. Thank you all so much for submitting them. We're getting so many. I would love it if someone could actually just walk me through like a day in the life of a BC student, like an average day in the life. And maybe you can just like highlight the main things, what you'd see, what you do, what like activities, because there's so much time in the day compared to high school, obviously.
Sorry, Mike. I can walk through a typical day in my life, I guess. So typically I have a ton of morning classes. So we're looking at 9 a.m.s, 10 a.m.s, and I have some afternoon classes as well. So usually I would just try and get up before around 8 a.m. So, and I have a kitchen where I live. So I make some breakfast for myself, get myself ready for classes, and then walk to class. I've on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I usually have a 12 p.m. and Tuesday and Thursdays I usually have a 9 p.m. So for like a Tuesday day, for example, I'll get ready for the 9 p.m., go to class. And in between classes, I usually try and grab lunch with friends if anyone is free. And then, I have on Tuesday and Thursdays, I usually have like around 3 classes. So one in the morning, one in the mid-afternoon around 12, and then one typically around 4:30. And then in between, I have a ton of time. So lunch, definitely want to prioritize that with friends. And then if I have time, I would definitely try and go to the library, get some work done for my other classes, whether that's doing homework or just catching up on assignments. And then usually at night, I just have to run a few meetings here and there. So like for tonight, for example, I have actually a meeting right after this for CAP. So to get ready for that as well. And then whenever I'm done with those meetings, I try to, if I have time on my schedule, go to the gym, which I live close by, and try to get a workout in. And after that, try and make dinner after that, and then do some homework and then get ready for bed and repeat that process.
Yeah, it's so nice having the flexibility of kind of building your schedule, sprinkling club meetings, obviously seeing friends, stopping by offices, things like that. We have had a lot of questions about pre-med, and I know that Julia, you said you're pre-law, Michaela, pre-law. I'm also pre-law as well. So obviously none of us are pre-med, but have any of you had kind of any friends that are pre-med or know a little bit about pre-med, and you can speak on that?
Yeah, I can. So I mentioned I came in biology and I have my medical humanities minor. So I was very interested in medicine, and we have a fantastic department here. You are going to have to take those intro classes your first year, like intro to chemistry, molecules and cells, ecology, and evolution. Fantastic classes. The professors are absolutely amazing. And there are our pre-health ed advising board is really great also. They'll walk you through what classes you should take, what fits with your schedule. Maybe you shouldn't do these 3 classes together because that might be too much for you. They also have a lot of programs where you can go and shadow doctors in the area. Boston is a health hub, so there are so many opportunities to go to the great hospitals here, get some hands-on experience, and I really enjoyed my time. I found my passion elsewhere, but it's a fantastic program. They really do prioritize what's best for you. And I think that that's something that's really valuable in the whole pre-med process, knowing you're applying, wanting to be prepared. They really do prepare you very well here.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. Just as we start to wrap up, I kind of want to bring it back to obviously the core of what we're talking about here, which is an AHANA student in the College of Arts and Sciences. So I'd love to know if each of you could just talk briefly about what has your experience as an AHANA student been? Have you seen that like in social justice initiatives and maybe certain clubs that you're in like community of friends, things like that? Whoever can get started.
I can go. I was very nervous about being an AHANA student here at BC since it is a PWI, but I've definitely been pleasantly surprised in a lot of my classes when we're talking about racial topics, things that are going on right now. Everyone is not just looking at me and waiting for me to answer or give my input. Other classmates, white classmates are advocating, are standing up for what's right. And I've never felt like I had to be the spokesperson of my ethnicity, which I think is something that I was definitely really worried about. And generally, I'm not the only AHANA student in my classrooms, so I never feel isolated in that way. So that's been my experience thus far. The professors are very aware of what's happening in the world, wanting to make sure that they're sensitive with their language, with how they address certain topics. And so I've appreciated that.
Yes, I had somewhat of a different experience than Julia. I actually grew up in a predominantly white town. So coming to BC for me was there was a lot more diversity here, which is something I was looking forward to. So coming in, joining OLA, that was definitely amazing because I could find a little family away from home, like I mentioned before. But I think just the general, and a lot of the different clubs and activities that you join, we do have like diversity EDU trainings. I know Jen and I were orientation leaders this past summer, and when we got back to campus and we met with our groups, we had diversity EDU facilitations. So we met, it was like either 1 or 2 orientation leaders with a member of the staff at BC. And when we got paired with our staff members, I thought it was going to be someone in the Bowman AHANA and Intercultural Center, the BIIC. And I was asking Craig, who I was with, I was like, Craig, like, where do you work at BC? And he was like, oh, I'm working at Rob Sham and the other co-facilitator. So Rob Sham is our theater on campus. That's where any big events happen that pertain to like theater, or if we have any guest speakers. So he was working in Rob Sham, and someone else was from the mental health services at BC. And it just showed that these people were here to volunteer. The staff members were here to volunteer us and help with us lead these conversations about diversity. We weren't there to be telling people this is how you should feel about this situation. We were discussing things like microaggressions and the importance of diversity, but it was no way us telling them like that we were the ones that had all the answers because we were learning with them. And I think that's a huge thing at BC. Everyone's here to learn together. And we're having these important, difficult conversations right off the bat with our freshmen as they're coming in. And I think that sets the precedent for what is to be expected at BC. So I felt definitely super embraced by those conversations that I've had starting from orientation when I first stepped foot on campus in the summer before my freshman year.
I think both of our panelists, Michaela and Julia, brought up great points. I think BC there is a community around BC that's very supportive about diversity and inclusion. Personally, when it comes to myself, I'm involved in several different clubs, and one of the key components when it comes to like planning events is trying to make sure that our events are open and welcome to everybody. And so when it comes to like planning events in CAB, etc., we want to make sure that our events can include everybody, and so that everybody of different backgrounds, different ethnicities can have a good time. And so that's one thing that's very important to me when it comes to my experience as an AHANA student is, I want to give back to the BC community because the community has given so much to me and given me such a, comfortable and inclusive environment. And I just want to give back in that sense.
Absolutely. And like everyone mentioned, there are a bunch of offices and resources, clubs, organizations that do help with this, with organizing social justice initiatives too around the area. Our undergraduate government at Boston College, so it's UGBC, does a lot with that. And again, these are conversations that need to continue to happen, and you really see the students kind of continuing these conversations about diversity and equity, and the fact that we do have classes where you just talk about race. I had a topic seminar and it was called Thinking About Race, and 2 professors were teaching it. We met once a week, and it was one of my favorite classes I've ever taken because I was able to have those uncomfortable conversations with other students. And so I see the effort that BC as an entire community is putting towards trying to make the student experience for AHANA students as best that it can be, while also addressing what needs to be addressed. And I know we couldn't get to all the questions, but hopefully we were able to get to like the main points. And hopefully if you have any follow-up questions, I will share our contact information on the screen in a second. But I did want to say thank you so much. We're happy to talk to you and hopefully answer your questions after this as well. So if you want, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So if you want to take a picture of this or something, that might be helpful for you. And so that's all of our information. Feel free to reach out to us if you want to like continue any conversations based off what we've been talking about. We'll also be having other themed virtual programs this fall. So over the next week, programs will be offered on international students, early decision, the Gabelli Presidential Scholars Program, faith, retreat, service, and so much more. So you can go to bc.edu/visit to learn a little bit more about that. And we'll also be having more AHANA specific panels as well. So we're going to be having one on the Carroll School of Management, Cannell School of Nursing, and the Lynch School of Education, so the pre-professional schools. And that webinar will be next Sunday at the same time. So if you just want to chat with me and some other panelists as well, you can feel free to hop into that one too. But again, thank you so much for coming. And we're happy to have you, and hopefully we see you around BC sometime.